Most of the people in the world today live in developing countries, countries whose average per capita GNP is a fraction of that in more industrialized countries. Most developing countries are located in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Today, we will be covering economic development in developing countries. The objectives are obstacles for development, which include population, natural resources, religion, debt, and war. International agencies designed to help developing countries. Stages of economic development. Developments with internal and external funds. International and regional cooperation. And not to mention, to bring a bit of Latin spice into the average consumer's life. Interest in economic development. Economists know that all nations are better off when they produce and trade the products in which they have a comparative advantage. Even so, the international community's concern for developing countries is humanitarian as well as economic and political. Obstacles to development. Before examining some of the possible solutions to the plight of developing countries, we need to take a closer look at some common problems and challenges. One obstacle to economic development is population growth. The populations of most developing countries grow at a rate much faster than the populations of industrialized countries. Another obstacle to economic growth is limited natural resources, which includes unproductive land and harsh climates. Still, another obstacle to economic development is a lack of appropriate education and technology. Many developing countries do not have a highly literate population, nor do they have the high level of technical skills needed to build an industrial society. Religious beliefs may also stand in the way of economic development. When almost everyone realizes that capital investment and new technologies can help economic growth, some people may not be interested for religious reasons. Another major problem facing the developing nations today is the size of their external debt. Money borrowed from foreign banks and governments. Unfortunately, many of the developing nations of the world, Angola, Egypt, Ethiopia, and Cambodia, to just name a few, were the scenes of bloody civil wars in the late 1900s. International agencies. The problems of developing countries have not gone unnoticed by more successful countries of the world. Two agencies, in particular, work directly with developing nations to solve their problems. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, offers advice to all nations on monetary and fiscal policies. Another important international lending and development agency is the World Bank Group, more commonly known as the World Bank. The first stage toward economic development is primitive equilibrium. It is primitive in the sense that the society has no formal economic organization. The final stage of development is high development. In this stage, efforts to obtain food, shelter, and clothing are more than successful. Most people have their basic needs and wants met. Some developing countries have tried to obtain external funds. Some countries have joined together to form a free trade area, an agreement which two or more countries reduce trade barriers and tariffs among themselves. A number of oil-producing nations have joined to form a cartel, a group of producers or sellers who agree to limit the production or sale of a product to control prices. OPEC's members were able to take advantage of natural monopoly and push up world oil prices.
$1.2 billion people make less than $1 a day.
No, Julieta, no, no.
Siempre que te pregunto que cuándo, cómo y dónde, tú siempre me respondes, quizás, quizás, quizás.